Today, we're diving into some serious wisdom from the greatest generation ever, my generation, Gen X. Stick around.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
What's up, everybody? It's Graham. Welcome back to the channel, back with another video. Today, what we're going to go into is not necessarily my wisdoms, but the wisdoms from, I believe, a Gen Z writer that wrote this article that I think is pretty good. Let me read it correctly, and I'll drop a link in the description below. And we're going to go through these today. It is the 10 Gen X habits people make fun of that are actually good for you. Don't knock it until you tried it. Written by this individual. I'm not going to try to pronounce her name because it probably will not sound right. But yeah, that's what we're going to get into today. The article will be linked in the description. You can go through and read it completely. It's actually a really good article. And quite honestly, I think I do every single thing on this list. So she nailed it. Yep. So the generation that survived MTV, grunge, rock, and the dawn of the internet, who often gets roasted a lot online from baby boomers, believe it or not, and millennials and Gen Z, we might actually have some wisdoms that can help you in your life today. So let's get into number one: streaming nostalgic TV shows. So streaming nostalgic TV shows, we grew up on like Mr. Belvedere, um, Cheers, which I loved, The Fall Guy. For you boomers, I guess you would have, and I did watch them with my mom, like Dynasty and Dallas and Falcon's Crest. Um, may actually have some science backed data or benefits. The studies show that it can combat loneliness and boost happiness by sparking feelings of connection and meaning. Because we saw them as a kid, if they were a good memory that we had as a kid, then later on in life when we watch them, it actually makes us feel good. And so, one of the things that works great is, believe it or not, um, you can get TV for free. You know, ABC, CBS, Fox, and all them by FCC law are supposed to be free. Unfortunately, everybody streams everything nowadays, so they don't really get it. So a lot of people don't have it. They don't have cable anymore, and then they just have apps like Hulu and Netflix. Believe it or not, um, TV Guide still does exist. Try to get it to focus there. That's when Pat Sajak retired from down here, retired from Wheel of Fortune. So they still do exist in the form of a magazine that my wife and I do subscribe to because it's just pretty cool to read some of the articles. It's fairly inexpensive. We get one every couple weeks. Now, they're not like the old school TV guides that have it 24 hours. They basically just go from prime time to, I think, midnight, 7 days a week. So what we winded up getting was, and I'll have a link in the description, we winded up getting a digital antenna that you plug right into your smart TV, and you get all these free channels. You get your ABC, your CBS, all of that, and you're able to watch them for free. And there's a lot of channels on there that just strictly play old school TV shows, Magnum PI, The Fall Guy, Golden Girls. I look it up in the TV guide, or of course, there's a digital guide that you can see on the TV, and you watch it from there. So I would highly recommend check out the link. It's like 17, 18 bucks, and check it out, and you can watch some really good old school TV shows. It might actually make you feel better. All right, number two is using Facebook. Now, I know that seems like something that the Gen Zers, maybe even the younger millennials, think is funny. It's not just about how-to videos and recipes. It's a way that we use to connect with friends and family. Um, I'm not on Facebook that much. I did have a rather extensive Facebook back in the day, I think before COVID. Then after that, I just kind of deleted it all and got rid of it. And then eventually got it back again later because I wanted to use Marketplace to buy some stuff. But it's a way for me to connect with my aunt and uncle up in Nebraska and my cousins that are up there. My mom sends me little articles at times, but it's something that studies show that it helps with combating loneliness. And although I know Roth uses Instagram, he communicates him and his friends. I remember it used to be like Snapchat, which I think people still use Snapchat. And then Instagram kind of wasn't the cool thing, but now at least Roth's age, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids and younger, they are communicating using Instagram all the time. And I communicate with him most of the time like that too. But the Gen X app is still Facebook. It was originally MySpace. And they screwed that up. Otherwise, it would have still been bigger than Facebook. But it's it's something that I like to use. Although these TikTok dances are supposedly cool, I think they're kind of stupid, but that's my opinion. And I would rather just communicate briefly. I don't put my whole life online. I don't take pictures of every single little thing I do. I know a lot of y'all do. That's fine. It gives you a sense of worth and combats the loneliness that they talk about. But that's number two. What do you think? Drop a comment. All right, number three is listening to the radio in your car. Statistically, Gen X still listens to the actual radio in their car more than anybody else. Um, Studies show that it supposedly enhances the driving experience. I don't know much about that. All I can do is speak on that. I do actually have a radio in my car that I listen to the majority of time. In fact, I had updated my speakers in the Scion several months ago, and I kept the original Scion CD player in there. And the Memphis audio speakers that I put in there just weren't any louder. They just weren't blown out like my old speakers were. And then of course I had Justin tell me that, well, it's the watts or amps or whatever that you have per channel. So if you upgrade your stereo, your speakers are going to be better. So I went to crutchfield.com and got me a new stereo for the car with a CD player. Of course, it has all the bells and whistles. It has the Bluetooth, it has the aux cord and all that. And trust me, it's a great listening experience now. Had him put it in. So I still do have my tape player, my realistic tape player from Radio Shack that I've showed before. Probably drop a picture here on the screen. And so now I have a radio that I still listen to the radio station, the CD player, and of course I can stream from it. So it's not necessarily. It's funny. I even though I put the CD player in there, I really don't have any CDs in the car. I have a couple cassettes that I can put in there. But most of the time, and it's funny, I didn't know this until I read the article, but most of the time I listen to the radio. When I drive for my work, I'm on the road a lot. I'm listening to in San Antonio 106.7 The Eagle, which is a classic rock station. I'm listening to Kono 101.1, I believe it is. It's another older radio station that plays more of the pop and stuff like that. And then 99.5 Kiss, which is your modern rock and your 90s grunge and stuff like that. And I've got my presets on there, and I cycle between each station as I'm going. One commercial pops up, I try to switch to another. Unfortunately, I think literally all three of those stations are owned by iHeart, and so it's almost like they plan their commercials in sync. So you get stuck listening to a commercial. I don't know. I like listening to them, but I also like hearing the DJs. They don't talk too much. I don't listen to the morning shows, the morning call-in shows, because a lot of times they're just talking about stuff that I just kind of find dumb. But overall, I find myself listening to the radio in the car, the actual radio stations in the car, more than I stream or even put a CD in. What do you do? Drop a comment below. All right, number four, let's talk about food. Now, for those of you that saw my last video, and based on the view count, not a lot of y'all did. So I'll drop a screenshot to it here and put a link to it in the description. So when you're done watching this one, you can go watch that one. Let's get those views up. I was talking about food. And I mentioned in the iPad Kids video that I did, one of my pet peeves is when you go out to eat at a restaurant, you see the kids, and the mom and dad glued to their iPads or cell phones while they're trying to eat dinner. And in that video, I mentioned that going out to eat, even to me, I don't know about all Gen Xers, but I'm assuming the majority of us, it's still a splurge. It's still something that means it's special. We cook at home. Statistically, Gen X still cooks at home more than most people. And you can save, studies show, about $1,500 a year just by eating at home versus going out to eat. It fosters, family, um, just the growth of family, and stimulates conversation when you're sitting around the dinner table. Or, a lot of times we have TV trays. We literally still have TV trays. Anytime we go thrifting or go to a garage sale and we see them, we buy them up because we sit and watch TV. and eat dinner, and not all the time, but a lot of times we do. Lots of times the wife's like, "No, turn off the TV, come sit at the table," and we sit down and eat. But it's one of those things that we still do more, and dinner out at a restaurant is a splurge. And I consider it, whether it's a fancy restaurant or not, I consider it something special. So again, I encourage you to go back and watch that video about the iPad kids and the brain rot that comes along with it. Um, because eating out should be a splurge, should be enjoyed, should be considered something special, as well as eating at home, cooking your own food. Now more than ever, I've mentioned in several videos before about now what we're learning about food, that food in America anyway, that a lot of it's not good for you. And there's things that are in our food from same brands like Kellogg's and General Mills in America that don't have the same ingredients in Canada or in Europe because they're banned. So when you go to a restaurant, you're not going to get, the healthy food. You're going to get a lot of processed food. And now that us, I think what's the oldest Gen X right now would be 59. You should start thinking about your health to live a little bit longer, but live longer and healthier. All right,
So
number
again,
5 is calling instead of texting. Now, I do text a lot for work. A lot of my customers just text me now. They text me an order because even they don't call most of the time because they're just calling to say, I need this, this, and this. And when you text an order, it's much like an email, but a lot faster because they can do it from their phone. But oftentimes, I use my wife as an example. She gets into these texting things with her sister, or some friends, and it goes on and on and on and on for 30, 40 minutes. And then you realize it was just all that time was literally, okay, hey, how about this Friday? We go here. Okay, I'll meet you in the town. Okay, why don't we drive over here? And then we'll meet over here. And oh, how are the kids? And I tell her, I'm like, why don't you just call her? Now, she still does call a lot. She'll call her mom and be on the phone with her for an hour. When she calls her sister, she's on her phone for a while. But as Gen X, we actually pick up the phone and call people more, even nowadays with cell phones, than sending text messages. Um, and according to research, hearing a loved one's voice creates empathy and deeper connection to that person and to just energy in general. Specific example is this morning, I'm drinking my coffee, looking out my window at our cats playing around. We got these two new little kittens that we've adopted and are fostering. And I just decided I want to talk to my mom. Now, my mom lives in Ecuador, and we use the app Telegram to, just like WhatsApp, you can text, you can send video, you can do voiceover, whatever you want to call it, voice recordings, and then you can, communicate that way. And instead of just sending her a text saying hi, I did the camera, so I can actually see her, like George Jetson, right? Um, so just something about it. I wanted to not only hear her voice, and my mom does watch this channel, so thank you for talking to me this morning, Mom, and I love you. I didn't want to just hear her voice; I wanted to see her. Right? I wanted to look into her eyes, and it's awesome you can do that on a phone nowadays, and it just made me feel good. So to have a little bit more connection in life, I would highly recommend next time, instead of just texting somebody, actually give them a call. It will make you feel better, and just give you a little bit more connection to that loved one by hearing their voice, because you never know when our time is done, and I would much rather have spoken and seen my loved ones versus sending a text and reading it. All right, number 6, and that is sticking to a 9 to 5 work schedule. I don't know so much about this. I'm just quoting from the article, right? But says that Gen X loves a steady, predictable work schedule and will, while remote work is all the rage, sticking with a routine has its benefits, because apparently researchers say that it reduces stress and creates a sense of stability. So while others are chasing flexible hours, Gen X is keeping it old school, so to speak, um, and supposedly stress free. I can't really speak on that for one reason, and that's just because I have been a fully commissioned sales rep now for um, 24 years now. So my work schedule is I don't get paid if I don't sell something. I have no salary, I have no bonus or anything like that, and I like that. Um, but it is typically 8 to 5. Some customers are texting me by 6:30 in the morning, some at 6 at night, and some on Saturdays and Sundays. Although I don't really respond to those because they know that we're closed, our branch isn't open, and then I'll wait till Monday to reach back out to them. So in a way, it is that 9 to 5 schedule, and I prefer it that way. I remember when my mom used to work nights at the sheriff's office. You know, you get paid more. I think it was a flex schedule or graveyard shift, right? And then when she became a nurse, after a while, when she was planning on retiring, she started working the night shift because you can make more money, and then she can sock up more money for retirement. And it threw her schedule off. I mean, it really did. She I don't want to say suffered through it, but she worked through it and worked her butt off. And But it was always something weird about when we were teenagers and she would work at the overnight graveyard shift at the sheriff's. It did throw the schedule off for dinners and doing stuff together because she would sleep, during the day. And so they say Gen X prefer a more 9 to 5 schedule. So what do you think? I don't think I'm the perfect person to answer this because I am not in the I've never really been in the typical work schedule, so to speak, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, with a lunch, at this exact time. And hey, can I go to the bathroom? Um, I work from my home office. I go to my office and I'm out in the field making sales calls. So if as long as I'm doing my job, I get left alone. So that's why I prefer the freedom. So y'all drop a comment below and let me know on this. Is this something that you would agree as a Gen Xer in a typical job? Do you prefer the regular Monday through Friday 8 to 5 job? And if so, does it help you reduce stress and keep you a little bit more at peace? Let me know. All right, and number 7 is brand loyalty. We tend to stick with brands that we are familiar with, whether it's brands that we knew as children, or it's just brands that we've come to like over the years. We normally stick with it because it saves us time when going to the grocery store, reduces fatigue, and minimizes stress trying to figure out what item you need. So, with me, I thrift a lot, right? That's one of the reasons why I started my channel was my collectibles. And so with thrifting is I tend to buy vintage clothes specifically because think about this. I can go into a thrift store and find a 30-year-old pair of Levi's that are still going to be in excellent shape. It makes you wonder if you go and you buy a pair of pants from Walmart or Zara or Forever 21. Are they going to be around 30 years from now? Are they going to be in good condition? Because fast fashion is cheap. Even like what is it, the Banana Republic and Gap and all that. Their clothes are, in my opinion, they're a little expensive and they look great the first couple times you wear them, but then by the third time you wash them, they look like shit and they fall apart. And then that's why you can literally go to any thrift store and find tons and tons and tons of those brands on the racks because they either shrink too quickly, they fade in color, um, and they're just crap. And so at least I know if I'm wearing a 30 or 40-year-old Bugle Boy shirt, I mean, think about that. It's a 40-year-old t shirt made of cotton, made in America, and built to last, so to speak, if you take care of them. So I stick with those types of brands just because I grew up with them and I like them, and I like the vintage style. So a lot of the clothes I wear are that way. I stick with Vans because I like the way they look. Now Vans don't last forever. They don't last that long at all, as a matter of fact. But I try to take care of them and rotate out my shoes so I can prolong their life. And as I mentioned in the one video with the catchphrases from commercials, Folgers is a coffee I still drink to this day, um, because I saw my mom drinking it, and it's fairly inexpensive. I'm not a coffee snob, so I don't, put a high standard on the coffee that I drink. Not that Folgers is a low standard coffee, but it's just pretty basic to me. So, what are some of the brands that you stick with, whether it's shampoo or toothpaste or deodorant, certain brands of food, Stouffer's, lean cuisine, whatnot. So drop some comments of some of the brands that you have been loyal to since you've been an adult. Let me know. Now, number 8, according to the article, it might be a bit controversial. I don't really care. And that is that Gen Xers are not consumed with climate change. Um, Again, do I care about the environment? Absolutely. And I think that that's where the confusion comes a lot of times with individuals is they think that because we're not all up in arms and freaking out on things that we don't care. I don't think 99.9999% of Gen Xers throw their trash out the window when they're driving down the car, or at the park and have their drink and just throw the damn cup on the ground. I don't think that they change the oil in their car and then dump it onto the grass. Um, we don't do that. We grew up with, Smokey the Bear. We grew up with Woodsy the Owl, talking about not littering, give a hoot and don't pollute. Right. So we are more concerned about the environment than you think. It's just that we're not freaking out about it. Staying informed is obviously crucial. I do keep up with things. But there is a fine balance between advocacy and managing personal stress. And so if I'm going to be stressing out about fossil fuels and all this type of stuff, there's other ways to handle it. Um, and see, this is a rabbit hole you can go into. I don't believe in electric cars because I know where the batteries are mined and what they come from. It's funny because coming down the highway, there's a gas station that's got all the EV chargers on there. And if you park there and plug your EV in and you're facing the highway, you can literally see the power plant at Calaveras Lake, which is, I believe, a natural gas powered power plant that provides the power for San Antonio. So your electric vehicle is being charged into lithium ion batteries that are mined down in South America, but they're being charged by natural gas. So we're not there yet, but there is a way to go about doing it, and it's not this way.
How dare you! You have stolen my dreams and my childhood.
If you want us to care a little bit more or show our concern a little bit more, maybe you should try it this way.
We got a good one too. It goes like this.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, how you doing, sir?
Very good, sir.
Oh, man.
All right, moving right along. Number 9, we're almost there, and that is dressing up for work. Now, I would say that I'm kind of in the middle on this. And what I mean by that is growing up Gen X, we grew up with Kmart people wearing a certain uniform to a certain standard, clean, ironed, professional looking. We grew up with our Sears or Montgomery Ward sales rep wearing a suit and a tie. We grew up with the Burger King employee wearing the hat, which I have one, and just very well manicured, even in fast food. And so nowadays, you go into a Walmart and they're wearing some ragged out slacks with a t-shirt and then the blue vest on it. And they just look, is it disheveled or disheveled? I think it's disheveled. They just, look messy. Now I'm all about casual, but at least casual and clean. Now, when I started, now I also do know is that when you dress up, you feel better. You're more confident. There's just something about the confidence that it gives you when you're out. Even at times when I'm going to be working from home, I don't wear my pajamas all day long. I actually get dressed because there's just something about that feeling. Now I'm not dressed to the nines, right? I'm in, some cargo pants and a polo shirt. But I'm still dressed because it makes me feel a little bit better. Now, I will have to say, because it is 2024, it has gotten better in the sense that when I got started in my industry, it was shirt and tie and it was short hair. Now, those of you that aren't from Texas, it gets 110, 115 degrees in South Texas. And if I'm doing a demo in a warehouse that on some, say, stretch film, and I'm showing these warehouse people how to wrap a pallet, and it's not an air conditioned warehouse, and you are in a shirt and a tie, let me just tell you, it sucks. And so the fact now that I can wear some chinos and a polo golf shirt, or some cargo pants, it's still tucked in. I still have a belt, and I even wear my Vans. So now, am I do all sales reps that do what I do dress like that? Absolutely not. They dress different. Some slacks and a shirt, some long sleeves, some still wear a tie, but it's not necessary, so to speak, anymore. However, there's still a professionalism to it. Again, tucked in, ironed, clean, not stained up. I don't have cat hair all over it. But there's just something special about that. And even in office buildings now, I mean, we have people that work in our office customer service. They don't get to dress however they want, but it's pretty dressed down, so to speak, versus, old school where, my mom worked in at Berry Contracting down in Corpus, and the secretary, the receptionist, was dressed to the nines, right? So that's something that I do miss. I still try to dress up, like I said, professional when I'm out, but I do miss going to certain stores or outlets and just seeing that the employees are just dressed very sloppy. Because if you're not taking care, if you look sloppy, then I don't know, what does that make me think of you? So it doesn't mean you're a bad person, but if you tend to take care of yourself, at least in your outer appearance, then you seem to probably be a little bit better at your job, in my opinion. Let me know what you think about that one. All right. So, last but not least, number 10 on the list is over planning, supposedly. Um, Gen X seems to be, right, all about financial stability and long term goals. I know I'm very goal oriented, but I'm also very present in the day versus, thinking about 5 years from now, because a lot of times we get so focused on the future that we forget about today. And then time flies by. I know I was mentioned this in a comment to Earl Dude on his channel, that a lot of times we start focusing so much in the future that we forget about today and being present in the moment. And it actually slows time down for me. If I'm focusing on every minute and every hour of the day that I'm in right now, it tends to prolong my day and enrich my life a little bit more. But we do statistically tend to plan for retirement and emergencies. And that can reduce money, stress that you have around money. Um, and give you some peace of mind that way. So obviously I've done a lot of videos on inflation, and it's affecting all of us, including Gen X. It's affecting boomers. It's affecting everybody right now because the prices are so high, and the wages with that are not going up to where a lot of us can't even do the things that we could do 20 years ago as Gen Xers. However, planning is good. Being spontaneous is great too, but when it comes to those big choices in life, we are known to overplan, and I would say I'm guilty for that. But also, I'm very present. So we've reached the end of the video finally, right? Drop some comments below. These are all really good points. Again, I'm going to link the article below. You can go and read it, but let me know your thoughts. Again, this isn't written by a Gen Xer that's saying that this is the way it is. This is obviously a Gen Z individual that wrote this, and it seems pretty spot on. I didn't really put too much into it because, in the sense that, thinking about the things that I do, they're just habits that I formed because I've done them my whole life. And then being more cognizant of some of the other things, like talking to people, being present in the moment, enjoying time with my family, knowing that sitting down for dinner with my family, a nice home cooked meal, is better than eating out all the time. So, with that said, drop some comments below. Let me know your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree. And if you stuck around this long, as always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel, sharing the video out, sharing my channel out, and hitting that bell so you can be notified of future videos. And with that said, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.